Hello and welcome to the LFC Transfer Room podcast, your number one source for fan-driven Liverpool content. On today's episode, we're going to discuss the latest transfer rumors, the huge win against the Spurs, and this week's upcoming fixtures against Derby County and Southampton. I'm Rigo. Today I'm joined by Dan. Dan, welcome. How are you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing really well. If you're listening to this, we're actually recording right after the Tottenham win, 2-1. Spicy match, energetic as always. So I'm pretty sure me and Rigo were both full of energy right now. We're ready to get this thing talking and discussing everything that happened today.
Definitely, Dan. Definitely. Huge win today. Again, we're recording post-match Spurs. So depending when you're listening to this, might be a little outdated, but we can't hide our excitement at getting our first away win of the season. We'll definitely dive a little bit more into that later on in the pod. But of course, this being the LFC Transfer Room podcast, we have to dive right into our latest transfer rumors. And leading off, as always, is our favorite boy, Jude. Jude Bellingham. It appears to be by reporting from James Ollie of ESPN FC that Liverpool are in fact the favorites to sign Jude Bellingham. It's said that we are forging a close relationship with the players' camp, which could prove a significant factor, and the broad framework of a deal to take Bellingham to Anfield is said to be advancing. Exciting news, and obviously we hope this one comes to fruition. Next up is Declan Rice, another Englishman. From Simon Phillips, Chelsea podcast host. Liverpool are set to be pushing hard to sign Declan Rice this summer and have already started the groundwork. That'd be another tremendous get. And as well, our next rumor is that of Cody Gakpo, currently tearing it up in the Eredivisie. Voltball Premier is reporting that PSV is looking to cash in at least £43 million for the Dutch winger, and they don't want to sell him in January, but they have to sell at least one player before July in order to balance their books. It's said to be a number of Premier League clubs that are interested in him. And top player on names that you can probably not spell or pronounce, Havica Kvaratskhelia, of Napoli is attracting interest from Liverpool as well as Chelsea and could cost upwards of £86 million. Definitely a star player on the rise, as we saw in the Champions League. And to finish up the roundup, coming from Spain, we have rumors that Atletico Madrid are looking to balance their books, considering they're dropping out of the Champions League contention, and that Marcos Llorente and Joao Felix are set to be on the transfer block. Marcos Llorente, as we know, broke our hearts at Anfield a few seasons back in the Champions League, killing us off. But he's said to be valued around £35 million. As we know, he's an energetic midfielder who can play a number of positions and would definitely suit Liverpool's playing style. I'd like to go ahead and ask you, Dan, out of those five, which one brings a smile to your face and catches your ear the most?
Absolutely. It has to be Cody Gakpo. And especially because a few moments before we started recording this podcast, there's a lot of more information involving Liverpool that was released, including Cody Gakpo. And in fact, I will be reading on it soon. And in fact, I'll do it right now as we speak. So the most important one, there's two huge news on Cody Gakpo. Obviously, aside from the one that you just said that PSV won at least 43 million, which, by the way, I think is a little bit excessive. But the two news that I want to touch on him is that so there's a Dutch presenter. His name is Hans Kraaij. Supposedly speaking to ESPN, he said publicly that he spoke to Pep Lijnders, the Liverpool assistant manager, and that Pep Lijnders himself told him that Liverpool considered Cody Gakpo as the missing link. So, Hans Kraaij, who, by the way, is also a former footballer, he's claiming that we will for sure and absolutely move in for Cody Gakpo. Now, there's more news on here. There's the other one because PSV sporting director was asked about this. So his name is Marcel Brands, and he was asked about Liverpool's interest. In fact, I believe he also worked for Liverpool in the past, but he was asking if Liverpool is the right place for Cody Gakpo to move. And this is what he said. He said, And I quote, Liverpool is a club that always works very specifically. Sometimes they already have their players scouted or identified for the upcoming season around November. Would they be a good place to send Cody Gakpo in the summer? Yes, that is right. So those are two really good links and hints of Liverpool moving in for Cody Gakpo. Maybe in the summer, I think it's more likely.
Hmm.
So I think with that information, I'm hyped over the moon for Cody Gakpo. We've seen his stats. So in fact, I believe I made a post today as well. So supposedly Cody Gakpo has a total of 13 goals and 17 assists in only 23 appearances for Ajax. 13 goals and 17 assists. That is amazing. Rigo, what is your take? I'm over the moon with this signing. Young and the captain. He's a leader.
Definitely, I think it's definitely a player who is needed in Liverpool. I believe. I think we're short. We're short definitely currently, but I think we're short long term as far as the wing positions are concerned. Cody Gakpo definitely has pace as well as size, and has really put his game together over this past season and a half. Currently in the Eredivisie, out of 13 matches played, he already has 9 goals and 12 assists. That's some serious firepower. It's 21 goal contributions in just 13 matches. And as you mentioned, he is currently the captain of PSV. They performed very, very well the other week against Arsenal. Both him, Xavi Simons, as well as Ibrahim Sangare, uh, who's another one who definitely would help Liverpool out. So as far as that rumor is concerned, I think we as fans would be more than excited to bring him along. The only consideration for me would be is as far as his positional versatility. He's another player that's used to coming in from the left, and as you know, we have a world-class player there in Lucho Diaz playing on the left, as well as Diogo Jota, who's more comfortable coming in on the left as well. But long term, I think we need more options up front. If he's versatile enough to take minutes away from Mo Salah and contribute on the right side and help Salah play more centrally, I'd be all in favor of this move and perhaps doing what we did last season and bringing a star player in January, like we did with Diaz. We could go ahead and try and make the move in January, considering that he's not going to be short of options as well. So that's one definitely. I'm on the same boat with you, Dan. That's one to be excited for.
And
Uh,
not only that, but also since you mentioned Ibrahima Sangare a few moments ago, if we go back to the Boetval International report, that Dutch newspaper that is reporting on the news, they're claiming that PSV need to sell at least one player by July 1st. And one of those two players could be either Cody Gakpo or Ibrahima Sangare. So obviously, we currently need a midfielder in the team, if not two or three. But both players, I feel like they would do an incredible addition to the squad. I'm sure if we can somehow work a two-player deal included in a transaction like that, something like a 75 million fee, I wouldn't mind for both of them. What do you think?
that would absolutely be outstanding. Definitely both positions of need. Obviously, midfield is the one that we've been harping on the most as far as needing reinforcements. And Sangare could definitely slide in uh, to start instead of Fabinho, or even in a double pivot there, two defensive mids can come in and just absolutely terrorize opposing offensive players and just dominate that midfield. So Sangare is one definitely I think we kind of missed getting him a couple of seasons back. Not sure if you guys are aware listening or not, but LFC is in business with Toulouse in the French league. And he was a Toulouse player up until a few seasons back when he moved to PSV. So we could have maybe gotten him for a song, but he's a player I think would be a tremendous addition as well. Uh, to go along with that, obviously, the most positive one to me, especially from the rumors of Real Madrid making a hard push for him, is the positive news surrounding Jude Bellingham's potential acquisition. There's been numerous things reported as far as saying that Jude Bellingham might be available to move in January post World Cup. He'll be at the height of his value at that point, and teams should definitely be trying to make a move for him in January. And then various reports saying that Real Madrid are actually discouraged at the moment, based on from what they hear is Jude being close to Liverpool's management and Klopp in particular. There was one not really a corroborated rumor, but supposedly that Liverpool and namely Klopp and Jude had met in Paris over the summer and basically had the framework of moving over to Liverpool kind of set up, and the purse strings unfortunately weren't opened up for that move. I'm not sure how much weight that one has or not, but if at the end of the run we get Jude either in January or in the summer, I'll be one very happy man.
Rigo pulling those under under the bed stories right there. Jude and Club in Paris meeting. Come on, my friend. No, but I think I did read it as well. I mean, at this point, you never know what's going to happen because all the reports are saying that Liverpool are leading the race for Jude Bellingham. Now, I don't know how true this is, but there's claims saying that Dortmund now won 150 million euros for him. That's close to what, 130 something, 135 pounds, million pounds. But that's just an incredibly crazy amount for Bellingham, man. I mean, I don't know when is it enough? When is the highest point that you say that's just too much? 130.
Well, they're always going to look for the most for him, and unfortunately, they got a little short change on Haaland's transfer over the summer because they had that transfer clause in his contract. There's no transfer clause for Jude, so by all means, they're within their rights to seek the highest possible amount. But Jude has kind of been released in this season in a way that he's freed. He's playing more of an advanced role and allowed to roam, and we're seeing that now with his end product. He hasn't scored as many goals as he had this season already, and as we've seen his performance in the Bundesliga as well as the Champions League, he's pretty much making a star of himself to the world, and he's right on the prime block to make that jump to superstardom with the World Cup coming. So if we're able to make that move in January, I think that would be the one to get us definitely back into top four.
You know what's my fear though with Jude Bellingham is that something very similar to Jadon Sancho might happen. So what I'm talking about is the fact that he's doing incredibly well in the Bundesliga for a few seasons now, because it's not like Jude Bellingham has been doing well for just one season. So he's doing incredibly good in the Bundesliga, and then suddenly he comes to the Premier League, and with his age and his experience, he either one takes a while to get to settle in and perform at the same level, or two, he's just a flop. Because that's what I'm fearing, and that's basically what happened with Jadon Sancho.
I think we're a little bit more secure in his acquisition than Manchester United would be as far as Jadon Sancho. Sancho is a wing player, and in the Premier League, it's the top athletes with the top speed and who are strong and powerful as well. And I don't think Jadon ever had really that blazing speed to be that quite of a success story in the Premier League. I think he was definitely overpriced, and he made his fame, with the likes of Jude pairing with him as well as Haaland, opening things up for him. So I think we're in much safer ground with Jude coming in. He also has experience in English football, playing for Derby County prior to his move to the Bundesliga. And as we've seen as well, his Champions League performances, those are against top-level clubs. He's performed against Manchester City, which, as we know, has won the Premier League a few times in the past few seasons. So I think we're pretty safe with his player profile. He plays in the middle of the pitch, has great ball retention, is strong, draws a ton of fouls, and as we've seen this season, is improving on his offensive output. So I think I'm not too concerned on that. I might be a little bit more concerned on how big that transfer fee goes and how much that limits, if at all, any other moves Liverpool might need to make that we recognize need reinforcement as well.
There is that other guy that you mentioned. There is Declan Rice, who for sure is not going to be available for 150 million. He will definitely be available for much, much less. I mean, I don't know if you can pull up his contract length. I don't know when his contract ends, but right age, he has the ability to play at center back and also at midfield. We just played against West Ham a few weeks ago as well, and he was the man of the match for West Ham. He completely dominated the game. He was incredible. I think he will be available for what, 60, 70 million? How many years does he have left on his contract?
Just pulled it up. He's actually signed up to 2025. He won't reach free agency until the summer of 2025. So he does have some length still on his contract. And as you know, that English tax is very heavy, especially coming from an American perspective. So, sorry, just tax. So I don't think he will come cheaply. If we're naming possible English targets, one guy that I think, would be an awesome pairing to bring along into the midfield, along with Jude Bellingham, would be James Maddison, who had 2 assists over the weekend. I think him and Jude would be a very, very nice addition to the midfield and get the best out of the stars that we currently have. I think that would be tremendous.
So with James Maddison, what are we looking as far as like contract wise? Because I was taking a look at a few stats, a few goal contribution stats, and I'm trying to pull them up as well. Well, the only thing that I've seen so far is that in 11 appearances, he's managed to get 6 goals and 4 assists. So that is 10 goal contributions on just 11 appearances, which is amazing. Obviously, we know that James Maddison can play anywhere from like the wings to number 10 or as a regular midfielder in that midfield 3. In fact, I think I found the stats. So let's see if this is the one. So it says that 3 English players have been directly involved in 10 plus Premier League goals this season. That is Harry Kane, Ivan Toney, and James Maddison. Like I said, James Maddison, not only goals, but also assists, a rocket of a foot. And contract-wise?
He's signed until 2024. So another 2 seasons on that contract. So that'll definitely bring down the price. He's been rumored to possibly go to Newcastle. That they're looking to target him in January supposedly. But I think James Maddison would add a lot to this Liverpool side, especially if we bring in Jude Bellingham as well. I could see James Maddison, if we're looking at the formation we played today against the Spurs with Darwin as well as Salah up top and Bobby playing behind them, I think James would be able to slot right in and just feed those guys just tremendous passes, just to feast on goals. Add Jude to that mix, and Liverpool are humming right along. But as far as our performances are concerned, I know we've dived very, very deep into the transfers here. I just want to touch lightly on the Spurs match and what it means going ahead. For those of you, Liverpool got their first away win on the season today against the Tottenham Hotspurs in a tightly contested 2-1 match. Heart racing, nerve wracking there the entire second half. Dan, looking forward, what do you think this kind of leads us as far as the remaining matches prior to the World Cup? We have Derby County coming up midweek, as well as the Southampton coming up on the weekend. So taking it into consideration today's win, what do you think it means for these next 2 matches prior to the World Cup?
I think this is a pretty not memorable, just important win overall. But I'm talking tactically wise speaking. Why? Because if I'm not wrong, this is the 3rd game in a row that we're playing under that the 4-3-3, or 2nd game in a row that we're playing with the 4-3-3 formation. So we went back to basics basically. We won against Napoli, if I'm not wrong. Now we tried it with Tottenham, and it seems to be working. The only one that it didn't really work, I think it was against Leeds, but I don't remember if we did a 4-3-3 against Leeds. I think we did a 4-4-2 diamond, didn't we?
Yeah, it was more of a diamond formation. We played the 4-3-3 against Napoli, and today It was more of a 4-3-1-2 with leading the line, Darwin on the left and Salah on the right, with Bobby playing more of a attacking midfielder role behind them.
What I was thinking is it looked more like a 4-3-3, just with Bobby using him as a false nine, like we always seen him. That he drops basically when he's in the front line, he just drops back to that number 10 position like he always does. So for me, I see it like a back to basics type of tactics. It's worked. It looks like that's the way to go. Just stay how we always have practiced for many years. It's been such an impressive match, mainly because we've seen a different Liverpool energy wise. Like everybody's running around the ball. They're not making as many mistakes. Fabinho, who has been the disappointment of the season so far, he wasn't as bad as as he's been in the past few games. I mean, same. I've been very happy with what I've seen from Darwin Nunez and Mohamed Salah. We're both working together, man. We're definitely going to see something really good between those two, especially when Luis Diaz or Diego Jota come in. Harvey Elliott, man, I'm always proud to see him play. But the main player to mention here is Ibrahima Konate. Oh my days. I'm at a point where I'm pretty comfortable saying that he's currently, not in general, but currently just a better defender than Virgil van Dijk. Would you agree with this, Rigo?
I wouldn't agree with that just yet. I think he offers something different than Virgil. He's definitely a lot more aggressive in going for the ball, as opposed to Virgil kind of waiting until the perfect moment to go after the ball or put his foot in. Ebo is definitely much more aggressive, plays a little bit higher. I think he's a little faster than Virgil. And in actuality, I think Ibrahima Konate brings out the best in both Trent Alexander-Arnold as well as Virgil van Dijk. I don't think there's a better pairing to stick in between both those guys than Evo. His pace and power allows Trent to play a little bit more advanced, and Evo has been able to save Trent on numerous occasions just because of his strength and power. And, you know, as stated earlier, Virgil likes to play a little bit more reserved on the ball. Evo just goes right after it, isn't afraid to stick his foot in. And I think his aggressiveness is a perfect combination there in that back line. So once we're all humming, definitely that back four should be Trent, Konate, Virgil, as well as Andy. I think that's our best. It's the one we closed out last season with, and as proven in these past run of matches, the win against Napoli and the win against Tottenham today, it's our best back four.
Can we give a special shout to Allison Becker yet again, making saves left and right, man? Like, wow.
He's our player of the season right now. He's the one that's been performing outstanding the entire campaign. He's been let down by his defense on numerous occasions and just left out to dry. He's come up short on a couple of those occasions, but that's just bound to happen based on the number of high-quality chances the opposing team gets. But without him, we certainly would be probably unfortunately scraping that relegation zone. He saved us numerous times, not only with his goalkeeping, but also with his distribution. We've seen him assist Salah on a number of occasions, and we saw that in the Tottenham match as well. His long passing from the back allowed Dyer to make that mistake, which Salah capitalized on to put us ahead 2-0. Allison, to me, is our player of the season so far. And without him, we certainly would be in a very, very rough position. He ended up getting a little bit of a knock in that Tottenham game, and one of the crosses colliding with one of the Tottenham players. I got scared there in the moment when he was laying there on the floor, hoping we didn't have to call on Kelleher, who's been, hasn't played this season really. But Allison finished the match, and hopefully he's good to go moving forward.
Now, I do have a surprise news to tell you, Rigo. See if you can guess this one. So on Friday, a player that was fully fit to play, that was fully back in training, once again got injured. Would you be able to guess which player is this?
Let me guess. Starts with Naby and Keita.
No, it was Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, it was Naby Keita. But yet again, Naby Keita, after recovering from full from his injury. He was back in full training. He's once again got yet another injury knock. It seems like it's a muscle injury. There's been numerous reports. Doesn't seem like anybody is able to just specify what happened to Naby. Now, there's also a few more theories going around, some conspiracy theories going around saying that just Naby is fit, but he just doesn't want to feature for Liverpool. Now, I'm not on that train, but if you think about it, ever since that one report that came out more than 3-4 months ago from Florian Plettenberg from Sky Sports saying that Naby Keita is trying to look for a way out of the club because he just doesn't feel happy at the club. Ever since then, injuries happen. Club took him out completely from the Champions League squad. We didn't know how severe was his injury. Now he's come back. Oh, by the way, the Ghanaian national team even selected him to be part of the national team when he was supposed to be injured. Obviously, he didn't travel later because it became like a huge mess. And now when he's back, he's not playing again. I'm not saying this is the case, but this surely is something to consider with the fact that his contract is running out at the end of the season, and there's multiple reports saying that he's just not happy with his situation at the club. So if you ask me, I would sell Naby in January, but seeing the way that things are working out now, I feel like he's just going to accept a pre-contract agreement with any club in January. He'll leave on a free next season to like a Dortmund or just back to the Bundesliga. What do you think?
Yeah, quite unfortunate. We definitely had high hopes for Naby Keita when he came on. Had to wait for his transfer move from RB Leipzig for a year, even though it was agreed on, and he came with high expectations, donning that famous number 8, last worn by Steven Gerrard, and unfortunately, due to injury or philosophy, tactics, et cetera, he just hasn't lived up to that transfer wage, and hasn't lived up to his capability on the pitch as well. He would have been the perfect midfielder for Klopp, and in certain stretches definitely has displayed that. But if this is in fact the end of his Liverpool career, it's quite a sad end. I was hoping he'd go out, even if they didn't extend him. He'd go out in the Shield, giving his all, trying to help us win trophies, and unfortunately, that doesn't appear to be the case. And whether or not it's him trying to force a move or not, or just trying to stay injury-free for his next contract, and as you mentioned there, he can go for free, sign a pre-contract on a Bosman transfer to a non-Premier League club. So if he's looking to leave to obviously Bundesliga, returning there, or to any other league apart from the Premier League, he can agree to a contract starting in January. So perhaps this is just making sure that he is fresh and fit to do that physical in January for the next club. It is quite a shame. Once again, player we had high hopes for hasn't lived up to it, and at this point, I'm never excited when he was named to the starting lineup, just because again, he's a player I didn't feel we could count on. And some transfers you win, some transfers you lose, and this perhaps may be a reason why Liverpool has become gun shy in a way and going after certain targets that aren't nailed on. For example, Luis Diaz, or as Darwin is showing, his own transfer, or Becker or Virgil van Dijk, who were nailed on big money acquisitions. They've been burnt by Naby, and that makes them a little gun shy because they got their heart broken. I don't know.
Would you say that Naby Keita is the first actual Jurgen Klopp flop signing, or do you think there's a few others, or do you think he's not a flop considering this is more of a fitness issue? Where do you rank Naby?
It has to be considered a flop, unfortunately, just because we didn't get the performance expected from a player of his talent, as well as his contract and the transfer fee that was paid to RB Leipzig for him. And as you can see, our midfield is pretty barren at the moment. We're running out 36-year-olds or 32-year-olds who can't pass or dribble all that well, going against top-flight competition and expecting them to perform as world-class players. And that's an unfortunate expectation on them. And it's an unfortunate situation that Klopp is in and the team is in, having to count on those players. Naby, of course, was expected to fill in that position for years and years for the duration of his contract, and he has not by, again, injury or performance. Even when he has been quote-unquote injury-free and fit, there's been numerous situations where Klopp just, hasn't had the confidence in him to start. We saw that in last year's Champions League final where, Jordan Henderson and an almost injured Thiago started and instead of Keita, and that would have been a perfect opportunity for Keita to kind of put his name back out on the world stage there. So it's just quite disappointing all around, and I think we're all looking forward to him moving on at this point.
Absolutely. I mean, such a shame. Yeah, I mean, I will also consider Keita a flop. He reminds me a lot of Eden Hazard's situation at Real Madrid. Talented player, huge fee, big expectations, and in fact, at the time of recording right now, he's just come back from injury again. He came back from injury. He got injured again in training, and now he's back again in training. So it's just a very similar situation to Naby Keita.
The only one thing, again, I'll give Naby credit. Yeah, I don't think it was an issue of him not trying. It's an issue of it didn't work out, and along the way, I think there's been a disconnect between him and the team, or him and Klopp. And when Eden Hazard got his move from Chelsea to Real Madrid, the move of his dreams, supposedly, he did show up, overweight with a little bit of a gut there instead of being ready to contribute and actually earn that number 7 shirt that Cristiano Ronaldo wore for them in years past. So I think it's a different situation. Hazard, he more of a party boy, and Keita, unfortunately, his body couldn't withstand the Premier League.
Absolutely, my friend. That's pretty much it. We've done a couple more minutes more than usual. I think it's time to close it off.
Yeah, definitely. So looking forward to this week. We have Derby County coming in on Wednesday and Southampton on the weekend. I think definitely Klopp should look to rotate as much as possible with his short squad for Derby County to ensure we have our best players available for Southampton and ensure we get all 3 points on the weekend, which are much more crucial in our pursuit of top 4 finish. Sunday, after Southampton lost yet again, Ralph Hasenhüttl has been let go officially by Southampton. As we know, he loves Klopp and celebrated very heavily when Southampton beat Liverpool a couple of seasons back. So, best wishes to him. Hopefully he finds a nice move in the next stage of his career. But we have a team with no manager coming up on the weekend, so hopefully we can claim all 3 points there. Any closing thoughts for you there, Dan?
Nothing. Just we got to make sure to keep an eye on who comes in at Southampton as his replacement, because last time we faced a team with no manager or with a barely new manager, with like the likes of Brighton when they lost Graham Potter. We got overconfident, and look at what happened to us. We ended up losing. So hopefully this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, definitely. We got to capitalize. Southampton is currently in the relegation zone. It seems to be our kryptonite this season. Hopefully we can turn that around at the weekend. But for myself and Dan, I'd like to thank you all for liking, listening, and subscribing to the LFC Transfer Room podcast. Up the Reds. You'll never walk alone. And thank you for listening. Take care, guys.